All right, Tana, let's tell them about our game day BOGO deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's your line. I'll read it, I guess. Paisanos is bringing it big time every Sunday. Go ahead, Tana. Tana, that's your... You can buy any large pizza and get a second pizza for free. Tell them, Tana. Use the online code BOGO Pizza on the app or online. And then what can they do with the second pizza, Tana? Second pizza's free with equal or lesser value. I'm going to eat. I don't care. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I'm still all over myself.
It's a Santana Moss show. Number 89, hustle all the time. Travis on the right, hot mic on the left. Every single week, it's a lyrical fact.
Santana Moss Show. What's up, Poppy?
What's up, my brother?
I'm good, man. Travis Thomas, Santana Moss. This is the post-draft edition. You know, I'm going to throw you for a loop, though. You about to get mad at me. Just be prepared.
Don't do it.
I'm scrapping the whole show we had planned. We were going to get into the Redskins draft and everyone else, every other player that went to every team. You can get that anywhere. You can break that down anywhere. I want to actually, because talking to you before the show off camera, man, you were dropping some dimes about the behind-the-scenes aspect of an NFL draft. And I jotted this down, Tana. This is where I'm throwing you for a loop. You gave me three things, really, in talking to me that I wrote down. I called the three pillars of the NFL draft. Tana talked about the draft from his perspective as a player. That's a pillar. But then Tana told an interesting story about how a team, for lack of a better word, sabotaged you to hoping you would fall to them. So that's another pillar, the team aspect. And then you talked about Drew Rosenhaus and how some guys didn't have agents and didn't get a shot. So I thought, well, the draft also you could look at from an agent perspective. Yeah. So we're going to go with that if you're cool with it, the three pillars of the draft. Because to me, this is the kind of stuff that makes your show so unique, is that you can tell these stories from your perspective, okay? So I want to start with the player perspective. When you were getting drafted, you were told leading up all week, all subsequent months really leading up to the draft, two teams were interested in you, the Redskins, and was it the Dolphins?
Well, honestly, I knew for a fact it was the Redskins.
You knew the Redskins at 15.
Yes, being that I was a Miami guy from the University of Miami, for some odd reason, the Dolphins was always in that that area of fans saying if you don't pick from home, if you don't get a guy, if you don't get a Hurricane, you're not giving yourself a chance to win. So they had to look at.
So you were on their radar from that.
I was on their radar just because of before then they picked the receiver that went to them, and I'm just to be honest to you.
Yeah.
With you, I didn't want to go to the Dolphins for a lot of reasons.
But why?
One, that I didn't want to be home. I've been home all my life. I wanted to get away. I wanted to finally say, okay, I can leave the coop. You know what I mean? I can finally be that pigeon and find my way out. Two, it was a receiver pick before from the Dolphins that panned out well on the college level at University of Miami that went and blew his knee. And I was like, I don't want to be second to him going to the Dolphins and, catching that bad luck and, having something like that happen to me. It's crazy that I ended up hurting my knee that first year anyway, regardless going to the Jets. But, yeah, so the whole time leading up to the draft, I talked to straight Washington folks. It was odd because, like I told you before, I'm so superstitious with how I do things. I never wanted to let that thing sit and say, well, this is where I'm going. Everyone's saying I'm going here. I heard so much from my agent, from guys before me, like, man, it's so much goes on. Draft day itself, if someone doesn't get picked in the slot, teams change their format or change who they have in those slots and go out to other guys. So I never let it sink in and say that
it was a done deal.
I never let it be saying that, hey, I'm going to put all my marbles in this one basket, that, hey, let's get ready and get prepared to be, Washingtonians.
Okay, so hold on a second. Now, to be fair, in your year, I'm holding the draft order here. The Skins picked 15th. You ended up going 16 to the Jets. The Dolphins at that time picked at 26.
Yeah.
So you would either have to drop or, which was more than likely, they would have to move up to come get you.
Yeah.
But you had been hearing skins.
All the whole week, man. I mean, I remember I was at track meets. I was at the local high school track meets, just sitting watching, the regionals and get ready for the states, because I was so in tune in everything that was going on down in Miami. 'Cause like I said, I hadn't left.
Right.
So everything that I did, prior to being a collegiate, I was always participating in all those same activities that led me to my college years, whether it was football games during the football season and then in the off season, track meets. I was still in tune with both of those because I participated in both in college. And we have some of the fastest, some of the best football and track athletes down there. So I've always made sure I found my way to Trash Proud Stadium and, checking out the latest, talent that's going to be leaving high school. And I remember being at those high school track meets at the time, and it was numerous calls coming in from Washington. Hey, want to have an interview with you because, it's 4 days left.
Wow.
5 days
left.
left.
It's like a countdown.
You name it. They count down how we count down, how we count down a week ago, and they telling us, like, well, hey, everyone has, that Redskins, Dan Snyder's very high on you, and they want, that Miami talent. What do you feel about it? And I remember those conversations, man, vividly. And I remember sitting there saying, well, man, it's great just to be able to be in the situation I am now today, because I recall being that guy from high school that didn't even know I was going to get a chance to play on a college level. The way I got myself in the door of walking on through a track scholarship, not having those elite schools to want to take a chance after me. Had a few, but not the ones that you would want to, especially from my hometown or my home state. And now to be sitting in the seat where I didn't have to do a Senior Bowl. I didn't have to do all this stuff. I didn't have to perform at, the combine. I did it at my own pro day. And now to be sitting in the seat where, at 5'9.5" or 5'10", I can be one of those first receivers called come draft day.
All right. See, this is where I'm really glad you asked me to host the show when you did, because Santana is so gosh darn humble. I want to talk that for you for a second. I look at the draft class at wide receivers your year. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm old enough. I watched all these cats play, and even before them, I've been watching college football forever. David Terrell went 8th overall.
Yeah.
Corin Robinson went 9th. Rod Gardner from Clemson went to the Skins, the pick before you. Santana Moss will not say it. I will gladly say it with my chest out. David Terrell, Corin Robinson, nor Rod Gardner could hold your jock. How does that happen?
Like you hear so much leading up to the draft, man, it's so many different things or reasons why teams are going to select guys in front of you. One of the things you can always rest assured when it came down to those Miami guys, me or Reggie, we was going to pan out because we came up in a pro system. The University of Miami groomed us to be pro athletes. Regardless of what position you played, it was a pro system. We had a pro head coach in Butch Davis, and regardless of what coach you probably brought in the door around those times, everybody panned out because the University of Miami history and our tradition was to groom those type of athletes, guys that's going to make it on this level as well as we did on the college level. Me and Reggie shared the ball, not with just each other, but with our tight ends, the running backs. So regardless of what numbers other guys put out, regardless of how tall they were, regardless of, the competition level of who they played against, we was up there. We was up there. The only thing that you can probably put in front of us when it came down to singling us out far as who should go whatever pick.
Size, maybe?
Size, or what did they do at Combine or Pro Day.
Oh, right.
And when it came down to it, the only thing that hurt me was size, because I outperformed everybody. Me and Reggie both outperformed everybody when it came Pro Days and Combines. What we did on our Pro Day was second to none. My 40, my catches, my route running, everything they assigned us to do, it was second to none. And like I said before, what guys do in those months leading up to draft, we was doing from that first year we stepped on the University of Miami, campus.
Right.
We was being groomed to be pros.
Well, hold on. I know you don't like doing this, but we got to have it.
Yeah.
When Gardner goes a pick before you to the team that told you they were going to pick you, Tana, you had to be pissed off.
Not really, because honestly, I'm like that guy that don't know better. I don't know. And that's just why I never put my marbles into that basket saying this is where it's going to go. All I heard leading up to the draft, you never know what's going to happen, so just be ready for anything. Now, even when it came down to my agent told me this thing can go up or down.
Right.
Previously, before we even get to having those countdowns to where it's almost time for that to go on, I had front page from my local, hometown team, the Miami Dolphins, that had just said it had never been a receiver at my statue picked high in the first round. So already the Dolphins threw a log in the road for me to have to go over, go around, or try to go through to say, well, now you just put a wrench in everything that I had planned, because now teams are going to take what you're saying and say that is true. You know what I mean? Why should we pick a guy at 5'9/5'10" to be our go-to guy as a receiver in the league at the point or time where most of the bigger receivers was being taken?
Yeah, but they picked at 26. Was that so you would drop?
And it was all the reason because they wanted me. I was number one on their list. And they wanted to say, okay, we throw a monkey wrench into his whole thing. Maybe he falls to us. And it was crazy because my agent was flabbergasted by it. I was like looking at him like, damn, this is the team that my dad tried so hard for me to, root for. And now look what they're doing to try to get me. I don't want to go to them anyway. So hopefully this thing can, get handled. And my agent hollered at him, and then they said, oh, that was a mistake. We don't know who put it out. Back page news. 5 days, 6 days later, next week news, they put in the back page, so that was a mistake by us. Because if you think about it, I think earlier, probably a year or two before that, it was a guy that came out from Louisiana Tech that played for the Pittsburgh Steelers that caught crazy numbers. That was a guy short, my stature or smaller, that had been taken. And then you think about it, Peter Warwick, all those guys had been taken. So, it's a lot of guys that of my stature that had been taken in the first round. And it was another team that's just trying to find a way to get me to fall in their lap.
Okay, so then that brings us to the second pillar, which is how teams, I don't want to use the word sabotage because it's not always that.
Yeah.
They can sabotage you so you drop, but they can also, which I think the casual fan sees more of, smoke screen and say, oh, we're not going to take that guy.
It's a pretty good strategy. It's all business. If you think about it, you can't sit here and get your mind wrapped around like, oh, this team is trying to screw things up for me. No, it's business, because at the end of the day, they know you're going to get drafted. You got to understand, these teams have what? Some of them have a majority of picks, from 7 to 9 picks. And you're trying to get top-tier talent the cheapest you can get it. You know what I mean? It's so much other things you have to go on when it comes to free agency, guys you want to pay on other teams, guys you're going to probably end up landing on your team far as who didn't get drafted. So if I'm a team, I'm a GM, or I'm an owner, I would try to go out to that talent and get them for cheap too. But it's not always necessary to go at it the way some teams do. And I think that, in my case, when you look at the Miami Dolphins in 2001, the way they tried to handle things with me, why try to, belittle me or lower what I've worked so hard
for? Value,
you know
right.
what I mean? I worked so hard to get to where I'm at right now. I was privileged enough to not have to go out there and do anything other than what I did at my pro day,
right,
and still put up the numbers or still put up the film for you guys to say, well, damn, what he did every weekend is evident. He didn't come out here and leave us with no thought in our mind that he couldn't go do that on the next level. Now, what I find it odd to sit in this seat and talk about now, because if you look now, prior from 2001, it was a shoo-in for guys my size after me and Steve Smith did what we did those years, our first, our rookie year, our rookie contracts. It was a shoo-in.
Smith went second round in your draft?
Smith went second or third round. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I got a list.
I think it was third round.
Damn, Steve Smith went that late?
Third round. He went third round.
Oh, that's crazy, bro.
But it was a shoo-in because if you think the Dolphins end up getting a Ted Ginn, which probably was a little taller, but didn't have the kind of college career that I had.
No, he didn't.
You know what I'm saying? But he was known for his speed. He was known for his punt return ability, kick return ability. So every guy that came in after the 2001 draft as a receiver or a specialist in that category of returning punts and kickoffs, they didn't care about the size no more, because in that under that rookie contract, those 3 to 4 years, guys like myself, Steve Smith went to a Pro Bowl his first year of being a 3rd-round pick off of just kick returns alone, the things that he did. So, I think us little guys kind of had put a stamp on the game and said, hey, man, you can't overlook, the size factor of us coming in now. You can't put that as as an asterisk by our name because of our height and say, well, they don't deserve to go higher because of their size, because now we're showing you that we can do what big guys do,
Tana, so I mentioned David Terrell before you, Corin Robinson before you, Rod Gardner before you. After you, Freddie Mitchell, remember him? UCLA went to the Eagles. Reggie Wayne, your friend. We know the rest of that story. Quincy Morgan, I don't remember. Chad Johnson, of course, we all know Ocho. He went in the 2nd round. Crazy. Robert Ferguson, don't remember him, Texas A&M. Chris Chambers, kind of remember. He went to the Dolphins. Steve Smith, 3rd round, you're right. Went to Carolina. Snoop Menace. Now, Snoop Menace was really good at college, but never panned out. Kansas City.
He got hurt in Kansas City, yeah. It's crazy because situations pretty much handicap the player. And me and Reggie talk about this so much. Reggie was pissed off where he landed at. And
he dropped
in the 1st round. And I don't think he dropped. I think he actually moved up because some teams had him going 2nd round because of whatever. I don't know if it was because of me being the guy that they end up leaning on for the big plays.
Yeah.
But like I tell guys all the time, Reggie was our guy.
Yeah, Reggie went 30th.
Reggie was our guy. And Reggie had, he had to have a knee surgery. I think it was late in our sophomore season. But bounced back off of that our junior year like nothing happened to him, and junior and our senior year. And so with all that said, sharing the ball with Reggie taught me a lot. And it actually helped me be a great pro because you couldn't be selfish. I came into it not being selfish because I came from a place in Miami, in Carol City, where, Coach Walt Frazier didn't care who you were. He wasn't throwing you the ball unless he saw fit. And so a lot of the times where guys land at, he's either going to help them or he's either going to, hide them from what their true potential is.
So while he
be.
was ticked off that he went so late, it was a perfect situation.
Worked out for him.
Because he got with Peyton and the rest is history. Yeah, that's true.
And like I said before, who knows what would have happened with a David Terrell landing somewhere else other than Chicago? Who knows? I think Corin Robinson had a great spot. It just things that he did off the field hurt him.
Yeah.
Rod Gardner, he was a great athlete. Rod Gardner reminds me of a guy who they, Metcalf, in the draft. Rod Gardner has so much potential.
Physical specimen.
Who knows what would have happened if he goes somewhere else? Because he dealt with a lot of stuff that went on here in Washington that wasn't right. I end up having to have that same stuff that goes on in Washington, but just being the nature of the beast that I were, I dealt with it in college. I dealt with it in New York. So I was paying, I was built a little different to go out there and be able to handle it a little more. Hey, you got a different quarterback, I got to still go out there and do me. You know what I mean? So other guys are not always blessed to have that kind of mindset or ability to go out there and look over some of the stuff they got coming their way. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I say at the end of the day, guys like myself, Reggie Wayne, we was built to be able to go out there and perform on this level because we withstood all that, through our college, careers.
5th round, Redskins took Darnarian McCanton, your draft.
Yeah.
And then here's a name. My God. 7th round pick, TJ Hushmanzada. You got to be kidding me. That guy had a great career. So, Tana, I want to go to the third pillar now. The agents.
Yeah.
You had the guy. You had Drew Rosenhaus. But you were telling me there were a lot of guys, and there is every year, that can play and can certainly play in the league, but because of their representation, because of their agent or lack thereof in terms of star power or big name power, they don't get a fair shake. That is so fascinating to me. If a guy can play, he can play. What the hell does an agent have to do with it?
It's crazy because one of the things that Drew gave us insight on before I even, signed Drew was like, you don't need me right now. Early up until the time we had to work out and all that, he always made himself, present to my family, like, hey, I want your son. I want to represent your son. But you don't need me right now, so take your time. And so, me and my dad don't know the process, don't know what's going on, why he would say that. But this is Drew Rosenhaus. This is the guy.
This is the guy.
Amongst other guys, Lee Steinberg, Poston brothers, guys who was all, courting me and wanting, to be part in that representation. Drew was like, hey, take your time. You don't need none of us right now because your son has set himself up to be a draft pick regardless and one of those first-round draft picks because of his career. So we took that advice and kind of just said, hey, let me knock down, one, domino at a time. Let me go ahead and do what I have to do first. I went to the combine. I weighed in. Got measured. Are you going to perform? No, I'm not going to perform. I'm going to wait till my pro day. And it was all the way up to my pro day that my dad was having interviews and stuff like that.
So you're recording. Different agents were still in the picture.
No doubt. Everybody was in the picture. Everybody. That door was open for everybody. And my dad was sitting down with different folks. I remember that Super Bowl that year. The Baltimore Ravens. Ravens beat the Giants in the Super Bowl. Lee Steinberg at the time was trying to represent me and Reggie, and he flew us to Orlando and basically, wanted to show us, all the guys he represented, fun time in the Super Bowl. This has been our first time, experiencing Super Bowl, atmosphere and all that stuff. And I remember saying to myself, man, Lee Steinberg has a lot of guys that I would want to be, on the team with. You know what I mean? It was almost like trying to find that next team you want to be a part of. And to tell you the truth, my dad didn't like Lee Steinberg, not because of who he was as a man or what. My dad just wanted, when he talked to someone and when he interviewed him, to that guy to be a man and look at him eye to eye.
Oh, you did tell me this. He was like looking down the whole time.
And Lee Steinberg, he didn't have to give my dad no eye contact. However he did things, he did them. But he didn't show my dad the appreciation that he wanted to see of him represent his son.
Respect, yeah.
And my dad's like one of those guys. It reminds me of old T.I. saying, you don't have to like me, just respect me.
Right.
And at the end of the day, my dad was like, well, clearly you like my son.
Yeah.
But show me the respect that you in here sitting with me, his dad, to show me the same respect that you have of my son.
Your dad took it as you, to him, would just be another athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't care.
Another guy on your doggone list of athletes that at the end of the day, wherever he lands, he lands. He wanted to see that agent that was going to say, hey, yeah, your son has set himself up well, but this is what I can do.
Right.
This is what I'm going to bring to the table. And I think that's where Drew kind of fell into our lap because for day one, prior to any time of me ever thinking about the NFL draft, Drew Rosenhaus said, one day I'm going to represent your son. Saw my dad one day, coming to a Kings practice, and he's like, hey, I like what your son doing. One day I'm going to represent him. My dad was like, being a Miami guy, hearing about Drew Rosenhaus, seeing him on the, he was always talking sports on Channel 7 at night, and we just sit there, and I'm like, man, my dad said, hey, man, Drew Rosenhaus saw me today, man. He spoke to me and said he loved what you're doing, and one day he can represent you. And to me, as a youngster in college, I'm like, I'm geek about that.
Wow.
Because I know he has the best of the best.
Sure.
So I'm waiting for that day. Like, man, if he see it in me already, I know I'm on my way. So that only adds fuel to my, fire to make me go out to continue to do what I'm doing as a collegiate, athlete. So all that behind me, and now we interviewing these guys. And deep down inside, I want Drew Rosenhaus.
That was your guy.
I want Drew Rosenhaus, but I also like Lee Steinberg. Okay. And I like Lee Steinberg for so many, other reasons because the top tier guys, I think at the time, Edgerrin did some dealings with him. Edgerrin didn't have an agent at the time, but Lee was the agent that sat down and talked with Edgerrin's lawyers. And a lot of other guys. He had Ricky Williams. I'm not sure if Peyton was other than that, but I know he did some dealings with a lot of guys that I was, fans of. So when it came time for us, I'm like, man, he want me and Reggie. But this guy over here want me, And when my dad sat down and talked with Drew, before he even got back to talk to me, he had already knew he wanted Drew. Wow. He wanted Drew. And Drew represented me well, not only from the advice he gave prior to leading up to things, but even after everything transpired with, my pro day. Drew was the guy that was in the stands with my dad, even at the time not representing me. He wanted to sit side by side with my dad and say, hey, this is what he need to do next. This is what he shouldn't do. This is what he should do. And we took all that advice, and it actually got me to where I was at, to the point to where probably a week later my dad said, hey, who you like? I'm like, I'm going to tell you who I do like and who I don't. And Drew was number one. He's like, I said, why?
Wow.
I said, why? And he said, well, you already know all the hoopla that goes on with Drew Rosenhaus. Everybody seems to throw shade at him for whatever happened prior or previous in his career with, with other athletes, especially from the Miami Hurricanes. He said, well, Drew was the first person that when he sat down, is the first thing he put on the table. This is what people say about me.
He dealt with it head on.
This is what they said. This is what they said I did, allegedly did, and this is what happened. Here's the facts. Boom, 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 boom. Now I'm going to tell you why I'm going to be best to represent your son.
Wow.
Because whatever they said I did, even if I did or not, these are the things I did do.
The positive.
And with this only, positive and the negative.
Right.
And the one negative, he was like, I can't go back that road because I've dealt with that already. I've been down that road, and it can lead to me not even having this no more. Took away all that. So he said, so at the end of the day, I suit him best. One, because he already paid his way. He did what he had to do to be where he's at. What I come into the table is I'm going to be the guy that when a team tries to play with him like they did already with the Dolphins, I'm going to show the other teams why he's worth that pick and why you should take a chance on him. And why even when he gets picked and when they try to play with his numbers, I'm going to show and prove to them why the guys in front of him and what they've done, why he should be in the same category of those guys and what he can be someday, if they go ahead and bank that he's going to be that guy worth that number. So beyond all that he said, he did it.
Real talk. If it wasn't for Drew Rosenhaus, you would have never been a Redskin.
Beyond all,
Real talk.
And that's the crazy part about it. So, we talked about the kid Lindsey that was drafted.
Philip Lindsay.
A year ago, he was a free agent pickup.
He didn't get drafted.
Didn't get drafted at all. This guy was ranked 9th overall running backs his senior year at Colorado. 32 running backs was invited to the combine, and he wasn't one of them. I don't understand
How's that happen?
So, like he said before, he's done all the hard work. He don't need an agent to go to the combine. Somebody did something wrong. So he don't go to the combine, then he goes to his pro day and run a 4.39. Then he runs great drills. Regardless of how tall he is, how big he is, he's doing all that he has to do to set the table up for himself. Now, when you do all that, now you need that representation to say, okay, regardless of what you've done, now he has to put that insurance in all those teams to say, hey, this is why this kid deserves to be on your team. Like Lindsey said, at least a 7th-round pick, he felt that he should be. Mm-hmm. At least 7th round.
At least.
And it was teams that had told him, had talked to him. Because drafted, you're going to talk to teams. They're going to call and talk to your representation, find a way to get because they ask for your number during the combine and all that stuff. And they're going to talk, hey, if anybody giving you a holler? Mm-hmm. And see, that's where agents come in handy at because it's up to your agent. If your agent sit there and say, nah, we just waiting, then that team's going to wait because that team's going to feel like, well, maybe we can wait till later to get this guy.
That agent can drum up interest in you.
That agent can play they behind like a damn puppet and say, regardless of what you think or what someone is trying to do, lowball him.
Right.
Oh, I'm on the phone right now. Hold on.
Right.
Let me holler at these guys.
For example, with Denver, he ended up with Denver. You could be like, hey, I'm on the phone with the Raiders right now. All of a sudden, Denver's interested.
So the agent has a big role because regardless of how much you've done in your career to put yourself in a situation, there's guys that haven't done nothing. Diddley squad. It's guys, I tell you the truth, there's guys that do nothing in college and ran a grade 40 and went first round.
Good God.
The Raiders take a lot of those guys. No, I'm not trying to throw shade, but it happened. I saw it. A kid from Maryland. I'm not going to say his name because that's not the type of stuff I like to do. A receiver from Maryland, and I'm pretty sure you, being the guy that you
like to do it,
you will bring it up. But that guy did nothing in college.
No, he didn't.
And he was a first-round pick. So for a guy to do what he's done on the level that he's done it on and to go out there and show up on his pro day and did not get drafted, I find it odd. But then I think about it. That's where the agent comes in hand at. Because now he can be that guy, that spokesperson for you, say, hey, are you forgetting what I have over here?
Right.
Are you forgetting what this guy has done in his tenure in, Colorado or wherever?
Right.
And are you forgetting that, if you take a chance on this guy, he can be that running back for you and do some of the same things. So beyond all the stuff that I went through and the way I set myself up, I found it, great to have a guy like Drew because Drew was very handy when it came down to me getting picked at 16 because after going through what I went through with the Dolphins saying that maybe you shouldn't pick me high, I'm pretty sure teams took notice of that. And when it came time when Rod Gardner ended up getting picked in my selection that supposedly I was supposed to go in, Drew was on the phone. And whatever team he was talking to, if you don't take this guy now, somebody else going to get him. And the Jets moved up to get me at 16.
That's cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout outs to Drew Rosenhaus. We need you on the show. That'd be great. So now that I've taken you down to 3 pillars of the NFL draft and pretty much disregarded all the prep we did for the show, talking about the draft, I would like to end it here. Tell me the draft day story. We know yours.
Yeah.
But you said your brother, shout outs to Sinorice. I love Nori.
And we need you on the show, Nori. Come on.
We need you on the show. So you guys had different draft days. So we know yours. You were chill. You were with the fam, whatever. Drew was on the phones. But Nori, you said, did like kind of a big blowout party,
we had a party. I mean, it was different. You got to understand something. I'm just that kind of guy. I'm one of those dudes that, man, I don't want to hurt no chance, no opportunity. I don't want to ruin it.
Right.
At the end of the day, let me get into the door first before I go to celebrate.
Where you pop bottles.
Yeah. And I think when you look at Nori's situation, it was so different because, one, even how he got in the door to University of Miami, our high school careers was totally different. I won a state championship. I was, the guy. Nori did some things. They didn't win a state title, but the University of Miami knew they was going to take a shot with him because of what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
He was a Moss.
He got in there. And then how his career panned out in college, he wasn't the guy. He didn't come into the door and they say, well, he's going to be a talent. He had to grind it out. And they ended up throwing him in there, not knowing if it was mistakenly or not. And he showed up, junior year. And I'm like, look, that's going to take you, that's going to take you, to where you're trying to go. And, truth be told, he was every week making a play. So our careers was different in high school. Our careers was different in college. The thing that helped Sonora so much was in 2005, the things that I did here in Washington, I had just got traded here, and Nori was a senior at the University of Miami. It was almost crazy. Like you could pull this stat up. It was a weekend. It was a Saturday that Nori ran a punt. I mean, he ran a slip screen back for 80-something yards. That Sunday, I ran the same exact play, against Kansas City for the same yards. So every week he would do something, I would do something. So it was almost like I was helping his status. Tapping everything he did, because now you got a guy that's shorter than me, my brother, but with the same build. And they saying, well, NFL scouts are saying if Santana Moss is doing it, Sinorice could do the same thing. And when it came time he went to the
Giants, didn't he?
He went to the Giants.
Both ended up in New York.
Before that, he went to the Senior Bowl, which I didn't have to go to. He was on the losing team of the Senior Bowl, but was the MVP of the Senior Bowl. So the things he did leading up to all that, and then you think about it, he ran at the combine and blew his quad.
Oh.
So it's crazy. It's crazy how crazy things happen, but I ran at Pro Day at University of Miami and pulled my hamstring on my last 40. But that last 40 was,
it was a wrap.
It was a wrap. So it's just crazy how he blew his quad, and I think he still ran like 4.35 or 4.3 something.
God damn.
But just leading up to all the stuff that transpired, I've made it, and I'm saying I done saw all that. Yeah. I was the superstitious one. He's not.
Right.
Let's celebrate, because I feel like the way he's getting in the door, it was kind of like, man, he worked so hard to get this opportunity.
Right.
We know at least he's going between those first 3 rounds. You know what I mean? So let's have a party for him.
Was he late first round?
Second round. He
second
went
round, early second round?
Yeah, early second round.
I remember.
So just the atmosphere was a lot different. Me, man, I didn't want much. I wanted to be in my mom's home.
Yeah.
I wanted to be around the folks that I grew up with, my immediate family, and my manager at the time, and my agent.
He wanted the same thing. It was just bigger.
Just bigger, because now you had a brother that already had made it. You had a brother that just had a Pro Bowl.
Right.
That, it's a party, man.
It was a different,
I just had one of my best seasons in the NFL, and now my younger brother finna come in and be a part of this.
It was a different vibe.
Man, it's a blessing for my mom to put out both our behinds to see this day. So it was basically a party because of what I had did previous that year.
Right.
And now he's coming
next
to be a part of it. So that's why things went the way it went.
What would have happened? Just bear with me. And then we're done. I could talk this all day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to keep you this long. But Tana, what would have happened if Nori came to the Redskins?
He had a chance. He had an opportunity to. Honestly, after his years, went thin with the Giants.
Yeah.
I remember it was a Thursday. Dan Snyder came and called me in there and said, hey, we bring your brother in and look at him. And he was like, he looked at me like, make it happen. And, you know, me, I'm like, that's little bruh. You know, so Thursday we always go to Hooters down in Chantilly. All the guys.
Shout outs to Hooters.
No doubt. And you know what? I'm coming to get my card. I heard I have it in there, so I will come in there and I will eat
What you mean, like an unlimited?
Yeah, I get a card, man, where I take care of the waitresses and, you know, everything is on them. So I appreciate that too, Hooters.
Hold on a second.
I got to get my man Travis one, so I'm letting you guys know now.
Let's table your thought. I would like to let Hooters and Chantilly know that Tana will be coming to get that card, and I will be with him.
No
Go
doubt.
on.
No doubt. So normally every Thursday after practice, that's our last day. We kind of weigh in on Thursday. So that's the day when every guy that basically starved themselves through the week to make weigh-ins, we know we're going to celebrate at Hooters after practice, because Friday practice is basically like a walk around. It's not a walk around, but it's basically just getting yourself ready for the walkthrough on Saturday. So Nori was coming in to be interviewed with the team, and Dan Snyder wanted him because he like, at the end of the day, Tanner, this is what, 2009-ish, probably 9-ish or 10-ish, one of those. I don't know. I don't have a good memory. But I'm saying to myself, Nori, what better place could you come?
Woo.
You know, I mean, you come here and be second to me, and, you know, I don't know how many more years I got, but if things go the way that they want it, when I'm done, you take over.
Oh, my God.
You know,
bro.
you take over. And Nori came in, he sat in, he interviewed well. And the team told me before we went to Hooters, you know, I took him to, I picked him up from the hotel and met, you know, he introduced him to all the guys. I think at the time, Pierre and those guys was here. So it probably was a little later than 2009. Oh. But anyway, long story short, and one of my favorite fans always tell me that I say long story short way after I done told the story, you know, too long. But
that was on that shirt.
Yeah. I'm going to keep saying it.
And I say, oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. We love our fans.
Yeah,
but, you know, brought Nori in and said, how do you feel? Nori like, you know, everything went well, but I can tell you, from just knowing my brother, he didn't want to come be behind me again.
You think?
I know.
He was tired of you living in your shadow. I'm sick of your shit.
Nori's that guy that, for some odd reason, Nori is the guy. He wants to be Sinorice.
But he's so different from you, though.
And that's one of the reasons why I knew it wasn't going to pan out the way he wanted. And then I think, too, also, you know, credit to him, it wasn't only because of that. I think at the time, the Eagles had kind of bargained with him and gave him a little more and said, hey, we would love to have you.
Right.
And we'll give you a little more stipend than what they was, you know, trying to give you. So it wasn't only because he didn't want to be behind me. It was just that, you know, when you're at that stage of your career where a team is bargaining for you, you want to make sure the business side of it is handled well. And I think he was trying to be the best business-minded when it came to it. And I would have liked it because, you know, you got double trouble. You know, you got a guy.
Oh, my God.
I could just see that, you know, the things that I did for our careers, you know, I never talked about it. He don't know about it, but I saw that day before. I saw that day way before we even became pros. Guys in my neighborhood in Myrtle Grove, I'm pretty sure the guys that follow the show and that, you know, see my little, you know, snippets that when I post and they like and talk about, they always said, man, y'all guys come so long, man, because I remember the times that you would be at that park and you got your 2-year brothers and you like, let's go play ball. And guys want your little brothers. And you be like, you know what, take Nori, because he don't want to be on my team anyway. I got little Lloyd. Because I know Lloyd was the younger brother, but I groomed him to be the dominant brother. You know, Lloyd was a beast as a defensive player because my mind was defensively. I was a defensive mind playing receiver.
So you would sick Lloyd on.
I was sick Lloyd on Nori because I knew at the end of the day what I do in the house, Lloyd go at Nori every day. I'm grooming these guys to be, you know, better than me, tougher than me, you know. So I would have loved to have my brother be a part of my team because I know if anybody I could look in the eyes amongst or along with those UM guys, and he's a UM guy,
man,
I know they had the same thought process. I know we was thinking and feeling the same way. And just think, my brother, just think about the things that I probably set up for him, just knowing like, hey, coach, put us on the field together.
Oh, Lord.
You know what could have been. So I hate the opportunity didn't happen, but man, if we can probably relive that, I think if he even think about it that way, he probably would have won a part of it. And just knowing the way Dan Snyder treated guys like him, you know, guys that's going to go out and bust his behind for him, you know, that's what people fail to realize. You have a guy like Snyder, he's going to roll the red carpet out to you because at the end of the day, he wants to win. And yes, when it comes down to these years and what happens with the team and we're not being on the winning side, that often, it's a no-brainer why a guy like Cooley's still around. It's no-brainer why a guy like Portis and myself and Smoot and Renoel and those guys come around and be able to be a part of that team still. And even the guys before then, because those were the guys Dan Snyder loved as a fan
for sure
and as employees, because we was going to put it on the line and go out there and do the most for the team.
No doubt.
And it was all about the team.
Man, nobody better ever challenge me to some damn flag football or two-hand touch. Because I'm telling you right now, on the outside, I'm getting them Moss boys, and you are finished.
And I'm still in shape, bro.
Woo! And I know Nori is too. Shout-outs to Sinorice.
Yeah.
I've told this on the show many a times, and I know Nori knows it. But he won me over. First of all, he's your brother, so obviously he family.
Know why.
But I swear to God, we did a TV show together, this gentleman and I, and I'm not going to say any names, but a prominent member of the media here in D.C. was kind of taking little jabs at Tana, little shots at Tana. And Tana, I always say it on this show, he's humble. Sometimes I talk for Tana, but Nori, who we had via Skype, jumped in and said, wait a minute now.
Don't make me take no flight up there.
You're not going to be talking to my brother like that. Don't make me take a flight. I said, I love this guy forever.
Yeah.
So shout out to Nori. We got to get him on the show,
that's my
bro.
Boy, man.
It's overdue. Hey, Nori, man, come on here. Show us love. Hey, I want to thank you, bro, because I fanned out today. I'm not going to tell you no lie. That's why I took us on a different course, because I'm looking at your draft class. I'm seeing all these names of guys I remember watching in college, and it reminded me, I know your NFL career, but it just reminded me, like, damn, I watched Tana in college. He was a dog, bro. People just forget. You were an all-timer at University of Miami. That is the creme de la creme for college football. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity, man. These are the kind of shows where I'm humbled to host a show, because these stories and these names and the stuff you did obviously in the NFL, but even at college, man, you are a freaking dog. And I do not think, to this day, I still don't think you get your props. You get props, but not like you should. You are an absolute monster in this football game.
I pat myself on the back because I know what I've done.
Man, I'm patting the hell out I'm tooting the hell out your horn, dog. I appreciate it, man.
Always.
Sorry to take you on that different path for the draft, but
I salute you, man.
That's a perspective you can offer the behind the scenes.
No doubt.
So there you go. Santana Moss Show podcast, draft edition, where only you can get it. It's a wrap.
It's a Santana Moss Show. Number 89, hustle all the time. Travis on the right, hot mic on the left. Every single week, it's a lyrical.